to be the most, hold on, I just have a screen here. Okay, the fruits, berries happen to be the most nutrient dense, and blueberries, strawberries, cherries, raspberries, blackberries, they all, right now, strawberries are in season in Michigan, so you should be able to find them at all the local farmers markets, and also cherries. Blueberries will be available in Michigan and at the Tinley and the South Holland. I think Glenwood has a farmers market. Search for your farmers markets and get your fresh blueberries in about a week or two, and they're only available for about 3 weeks. I do stock up on those blueberries and then I freeze them because they taste so much better than the ones we buy in the store that have to travel for miles and miles to our grocery stores. Let's see here. Do we have any comments? Oh, I hear a dog barking. Is everybody on mute except me?
Yeah, I think some of us are on mute.
Okay. The Canadian, actually the Canadian PowerPoint, let me get to my next slide here. Let's see. It's not working. All right, there we go. The Canadian guidelines actually just last year changed to be more of a plant-based guideline. And as you can see, half the plate is fruits and veggies, a lot of color, and the other half is divided again with grains and more protein. And protein can be from plant sources. In there, if you look closely, they do recommend some fish and egg and chicken, but they also add beans, lentils, tofu, tempeh, and some of the plant-based options for protein. And then the grains in the lower quadrant include pastas, rice, and grains, whole grains, and even whole wheat and whole grain bread, multi-grain bread. Unfortunately, fortunately, Canada's guidelines is on the right track. Unfortunately for us in America, the US guideline states that 90% of Americans don't get enough vegetables and subgroups, which they call legumes and protein, but the dietary guidelines are still recommending that we eat animal products, which does not make sense. A plant-based diet is really all whole food, plant-based, minimally processed, food as grown, or just one ingredient. It is also considered vegan diet. And there are different types of plant-based diet depending on your health issues and situation. If you want to eliminate heart disease prevention and also the inflammation, I would suggest looking into the whole food plant-based with no oil, and also the salt, oil, and sugar free, and possibly free of flour and alcohol, because salt, oil, sugar, flour, and alcohol are all toxic and harmful to the body. A vegan diet has no animal products, poultry or fish, nothing that comes from a living being or has a mother or a face. It also is no dairy, eggs, or honey, but some vegan processed foods do have salt, oil, and sugar, and flour and alcohol. So you need, those are the basic differences between the plant-based and the vegan diet. And vegetarian is mostly plants. Some vegetarians do eat meat, some fish or eggs, some seafood, and they call their diet, a flexitarian or semi-vegetarian. The standard American diet, which we're all familiar with, includes meat, poultry, fish, dairy, and eggs, cheese, which actually is, I put it on its own line because it's 70% saturated fat, which is the bad fat, and that causes the clogging of the arteries and the beginnings of heart disease. It has high sodium levels. The average American is eating 5,000 to 6,000 milligrams of sodium a day, when our levels should be at between 1,500 and 2,300. So try to keep it between those levels. And the American diet is also high in processed oils. Sugar has 60 different names hidden on packages: flours, alcohol, caffeine, chemicals, additives, and preservatives. As you could see, as you compare, what do you think is the healthiest diet? The plant-based, of course. But how did we get here? In industry, the food and drug industry, the government, the FDA protects the agriculture, which is the beef and the egg and the dairy industry. The healthcare, we increase chronic disease and prolong the last 15 or 20 years of our life with drugs, basically, and people are not living their fullest life at their elderly years. This culture started to change in the 50s when fast food and restaurants and bring food to your car came in style, and we shifted from eating what our grandparents and our great-grandparents ate to more convenience and boxed foods. How did we get here? It's not our fault. It basically is, there's 5 reasons why. Our human instincts actually is to eat the quickest and fastest food to prevent famine. Our culture, we grew up with maybe, different cultures that were either healthy or unhealthy. The food industry is trying to make money, and they have chemists that are actually designing foods with these chemicals, with oils, fats, and salt that will make us coming back to their product. The government subsidizes the dairy industry and the meat industry. And then our healthcare is basically can be improved because so many hospitals are still serving harmful foods to heart patients even. There is a lot of movement by the cardiologists to get healthier foods in the hospitals as well as in our schools. Number 1 killer in the US is heart disease. It has been for the last 100 years, and cancer is second and diabetes is third. How did we get here? The history of medicine. Hippocrates is the father of medicine, and he, way back in ancient times, said, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food." To this day, physicians sign their code of ethics, and it's a Hippocratic oath, do no harm. And then today, the lifestyle medicine is actually coming to play and talking about how diabetes and heart disease, cancer can be alleviated. Let me get to my next slide here. So the new power plate is here. based on the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. This is an organization in Washington, D.C. that is trying to get the word out with our government to make this our national power plate. As I mentioned before, it has the fruits, the vegetables, the grains, and the legumes. So if we simplify it and we think about only 3 main food groups, we have the processed foods, which are the cakes, the donuts, the fries, all the products that have the food, the flour, the salt, the oil, and the sugar. We have the animal foods, which have the red meat, the chicken, the fish, the milk, and the cheese. And then we have the whole plant foods, which is the colorful, fresh, or frozen vegetables that are of the rainbow. So let's shift. I want to encourage everyone to shift their thinking and put the vegetables at the center of the plate, then the fruits for dessert, then the whole grains and the legumes, and minimize the foods, the processed foods, and all the animal foods. If you don't want to do it all at once, you can do it slow and gradual. But if you have major health issues, you may discuss with your cardiologist or your physician to help guide you with if you're on medication. It's really important to let your physician know that you are changing your diet, because your numbers will improve so quickly at times. They would want to keep a close eye on it. So this week, I want to give everyone a challenge to watch the Forks Over Knives documentary, which is streaming free. Or if you've seen that already, watch another one. Here's a few titles that I would recommend. One is called What the Health, or Eating You Alive, or The Game Changers. They're all documentaries available on YouTube or Netflix or Amazon Prime. Add some plant foods this week to your diet. When you go to the grocery store, go to the produce section. When you first walk in, don't be overwhelmed. Find something new that you haven't tried before and experiment. Try something new, or attend a farmer's market. Look at a new plant-based recipe, and if you Google whole food plant-based, whatever you want to make, you will find recipes free online. And daily, a good way to start is add a raw salad with 3 or 4 different colors on the plate to start, which would mean I want to show you. I shop at Aldi usually once a week, and I shop at Trader Joe's and Whole Foods because they happen to be close to where I live. But I want to show you the best bargain at Aldi. So give me a minute because I have it in a cooler. I didn't want it to spoil. What do you think it is? Any guesses what I get at Aldi every week? Put in the chat. Could they chat? Are they able to chat?
Yes, they should be able to chat. Yes.
Anybody know what my favorite thing at Aldi, my biggest bargain that I could recommend? It is the organic spring greens in the big container. Organic spring mix. It is only $3.50 for all of these greens. And a little tip for you. As you can see, I have a white paper towel sitting in the top.
Mm-hmm.
And this will actually, I lay it on top. It will absorb the moisture from it. And these, I actually buy usually one of these lasts me a week. I can make about 8 salads with this container. And this, just to show you, I actually bought 2 of them. This one I bought last week, and it's still fresh. So I find, and it's very tasty. Any guesses how many calories in this container? This is actually, how many pounds is this? It's per 2.5 cups, which is about enough for a salad. How many calories do you guys think this is in this? Any chance? Could I see chance? Anybody guessing?
No, oh yes, somebody guessed 30. Somebody guessed 10.
Close. You guys are on the ball. You probably buy this yourself. 20 calories in 2.5 cups. So what I do with that is I also cut up a cucumber. I'm going to show. I have these. I love these containers. I got this on Home Shopping Club, I want to say, a few years ago. They're the Debbie Meyers, and they help your vegetables last longer, and they really do work. So in this container, I don't know if you could see here, let me show you. I have, could everybody see? I have in here scallions, tomatoes, and cucumbers with just a little bit of oregano sprinkled on top and a little bit of lemon juice. I don't put any oil in it, and it marinates, and I put a few spoons of that on my salad when I'm making my salad to take it to work. And then I also love to keep in these containers cilantro and parsley. Sometimes I keep my cilantro and parsley like this in a container. Other times I will keep it in a little mason jar, a glass jar with water on it, like a plant, like a vase of flowers, in the refrigerator. And that will help it last for up to 2, sometimes even 3 weeks. If you leave it in the bag that you bring it home with from the store, within a few days, it gets all mushy and bad. And then the other thing I like to do is I like to take a loaf of bread that I buy, and I'll show you the package of a few, the favorite ones that are healthy. And I take 4 slices at a time, and I put it in a freezer bag because I can't eat a whole loaf. I freeze it in 4 slices at a time. And then I could, when I have a taste for a sandwich, peanut butter and jelly, or a vegetable sandwich, or just having some hummus on it, I have 4 at a time, and my loaf isn't going bad. And I want to show the package of the healthiest bread available in this area. You could find it at Walmart, or you could find it at Sam's Club, and it's called Dave's Killer Bread. Here's the package. You could see it. And another, it's called Good Seed, and it has all whole grain and multi-grain, and it's very low in sodium and low in sugar. And another good brand is these Ezekiel brand, and usually you could find that in the freezer section. Here's some additional resources. If you want to take a screenshot of this, it may be helpful. The pbnm.org, which I spoke about, that Chicago area, volunteers on that organization, which I'm one of the members. And under resources tab, you will find documentaries, books, recipes, everything that's healthy. And then the next one is the Forks Over Knives that I've talked about. And then Dr. Stephen Loam's heartstrong.com, specifically about heart disease. He has tons of information, very scientific data-wise, and broken down so we could understand it. And then PCRM, which is Dr. Neil Barnard's site. And nutritionfacts.org is by Dr. Michael Greger. That if you have any questions about any type of food or any data, He has over I think it's 5,000 different short videos and articles. That is all available, free information. PETA is regarding the animal welfare and mercy for animals. If you're interested more in why a vegan lifestyle is important for, say, protecting the animals. So in conclusion here, the whole food, plant-based diet, food nourishes every cell of our body, every function of every system. We know that there are thousands of nutrients working together like a symphony, and each has a part. We also want you to think about how many colorful and nutritionally dense foods can I add to my plate, and what toxic foods can be eliminated so it can't cause disease. Okay, that's the end of my screen share.
So everybody can unmute themselves in case they have questions you would like to ask Janet. Janet, that page of resources, I don't know if you can send me just that and I can put it on the website like I did with the other list you sent me.
Oh, okay. Yes, I could. I could cut and paste it and send it
That
in
would
an
be
email to you.
great. That would be
Perfect.
great. Now, if anybody has any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Now is the chance. If you're shy and you don't want to put it out there as talking directly or putting it in a chat, you can always call or email me and I will forward your message to Janet and she would be more than happy to answer the questions. But it's always nice if we exchange here because you never know when somebody else in the group might have the exact same question to ask.
All right. I have a question. I see Tammy is asking, she has an egg with veggies every morning. Plant-based means no eggs. What do you eat for breakfast? Some of the things that are great for breakfast are oatmeal-based meals. If you like oatmeal, there's so many different ways you can make oatmeal. I actually have my favorite oatmeal. Just happen to have it. This is Bob's Red Mill, gluten. This is organic, old-fashioned rolled oats. You can pretty much find this at any grocery store. Let me move this here. And what you don't want to buy instant oats. You want to buy steel cut oats or old-fashioned oats. You could make oats overnight. Just put them in a bowl and with some plant-based milk, almond milk, soy milk, whatever your preference is, and put some fruit, nuts, berries, chia seeds, flax seeds, a number of things on it. Sometimes I just have a piece of fruit. I brought a banana here because I want to show everyone how I let my bananas go. See this banana? I used to throw this type of banana away when it gets like this. What do you do with these bananas? Do you eat them? Do you freeze them? I freeze them.
I freeze them for smoothie.
I peel them. Don't make the mistake of freezing it whole because I've done that. You can't get the peeling off. So what you want to do is peel it, put it in a Ziploc bag. I put about 4 or 5 or the whole bunch in a Ziploc bag. I don't cut them up. I don't put them on a tray. I just put them whole in the bag in the freezer. And then when I'm ready to make a smoothie, I cut it up and let it thaw out just about a minute or two while I'm putting everything else in my blender. I like to just break it or cut it in a few smaller pieces so it blends up. And it's great to make your smoothies creamy. You could also make what we in the vegan world and plant-based world call nice cream. And it starts with a frozen banana and just a touch, instead of a smoothie, it's a very thick, rich consistency. And you basically whip up a banana in a food processor. And you could put other fruits and dates in it And you could put chocolate chips, you could put cherries and strawberries, you could put whatever your favorite flavor is, and you can make ice cream with a frozen banana.
Somebody is talking about jackfruit. She is
Jackfruit.
trying to incorporate that into her recipes. What are your thoughts about using it, and any tips?
There's two types of jackfruit. One is frozen and it usually says ripe, and that's a sweeter jackfruit. And that's really good in smoothies or just eating frozen on your oatmeal. And it's a sweet, it tastes like juicy fruit gum, kind of like that type of flavor. But the one that you get in the can that is green, the only place I found it a few places, I like the Trader Joe's brand. They were out of it for the longest time, and then when I found it there, I stocked up. But I love making barbecue beef substitute with it, with barbecue sauce and the jackfruit. And it basically, you just cook and you drain it. You have to soak it and drain it to get the brine, and it's almost like a pickly juice in it, which I don't like the flavor of it. So you want to get all that out of it and then heat it up a little bit. You could put it in a crock pot or just put it in a pan, heat it up with some sauteed onions, garlic. You could put it in a taco seasoning, taco meat, or you could use it on a sandwich. I do make that, not often, but it is something that I do surprise people with because they think it's shredded chicken.
Jewel has fresh jackfruit. Jewel Food Store in South Holland has it cut in wedges.
I've seen it like that. I've never really bought it that way. I'm not an expert on jackfruit. To be honest with you, I make it out of the can. But yeah, if you could find it fresh, I know Pete's Market has a lot of selection of fresh vegetables and fruits that some of the other stores may not have.
I had it the other day from Pete's Market, and I watched a video on how to cut it in what parts to eat. It was interesting, and I put the leftover in a little quart-sized freezer bag and had it the next day again. They said it's good with ice cream, and I had some with ice cream.
So it must be the sweeter type than the ripe.
Well, it was the fresh.
Right.
Yeah, there's two. Yeah, if it's right. One is sweet, and the other one is more bitter. And I don't know which one is which, although the video said that a green exterior, a green shell is better than a brown shell, but I had the brown shell and it was sweet. The only thing is you have to be extremely careful, because if you get the wrong part of the fruit on your hands, it'll never come off. It's sticky, sticky, sticky. You practically have to use alcohol and all kinds of stuff. It doesn't wash off with Dawn liquid soap, so you have to be really careful or wear some gloves.
Yeah.
All right, I see a question. What are my thoughts on coffee daily with breakfast, Brazil nuts and dates? I love Brazil nuts. It's recommended to have at least one a day or one every few days. They have selenium in it, and that's a very good nutrient. Dates are fabulous. I love dates. Those are the healthiest sweetener. If you have a sweet tooth, you could cut up dates. You could make date paste with them. There's date syrup you could buy, and actually date sugar, which I do have. I brought some date things here.
Danielle, I see your hand. As soon as we're done, we will answer your question.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't want you to think I was ignoring you.
I keep my dates in a jar, an airtight jar, and then these have a pit in them. So if you're not familiar with dates, they are very caramely and sweet, and there's a pit inside. So if you're going to put them in a smoothie or put them in a food processor, you have to take the little pit out. Almost, it looks like the seed that you would see in an olive. And
So Danielle, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, just to backtrack about the bread. I try not to eat a lot of bread, but of course I, have a few pieces every now and then. So I purchased the sandwich thin by Brownberry from Sam's. Is that more so of the healthier option? I don't know if I'm just thinking it's healthier because it's thinner
Well,
or
I'm not familiar with the ingredients of that. You'd have to look at, I'd recommend to look at the sodium, look at the sugar, look at the ingredients and the calories on the label, and then compare it with this bread, which is also at Sam's Club, and see which you feel is the lower in sodium, lower in sugar, the smallest ingredient list. And you want to get bread when they say on the front, if it says whole grain, you want to be sure it says whole grain on the back. So whatever the grains are in the bread, you want to make sure the word whole is in front of it, like whole wheat, whole flax, whole, spelt, whole oat.
Okay. Can you show me your bread one more time? I just wanted to look for it at Sam's.
This is actually, I don't know which Sam's you go to. It's not at the Tinley Sam's. I haven't seen it. I've actually go to the Hodgkins Sam's. It's up on LaGrange since I live in Orland, because they have it and it comes in, but I've seen it at Walmart also. So this comes in a 2-loaf pack at Sam's. And I want to say it's about $7.50 for both packs, but at Walmart here in Orland, I've seen it there, and it's and it's on the shelf. It's not in the frozen section. The other really good bread is the Ezekiel brand, and that you could find at pretty much most grocery stores in the frozen section.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And at Sunset Farms has that bread, Ezekiel.
Yes, yeah. Here's the date sugar. This is the healthiest sweetener you could use, better than any other sugar, because it's just dates. There's nothing added, and you can see it almost looks like brown sugar. And this works well really in any type of, you could put it on your oatmeal. You're getting the minerals and the antioxidants. The sugar is not as healthy as the actual date, but it's better than any other sweetener. Let me show you a few things that I have here to add flavor. This is, if anybody is a Costco member, this is a great spice that you could put in all types of soups, on vegetables. It's an organic, no salt. It has 21 organic spices and ingredients in it. And I like it because it's, I think, under $7 for all of this. And
what brand is that, Janet?
It's Kirkland. Kirkland is the Costco brand.
I have a gift card from Costco, and I need to use it.
This is something you want to get. And it looks really big, but you would use it like you would use a like a chicken broth. I used to use chicken broth seasoning, or something like the onion.
What did you say the name of it is again?
It's organic, no salt seasoning. Kirkland brand.
Okay, thank you.
Kirkland is the Costco brand, if you've never been there.
I just wanted you guys all to know, while you were talking, I looked up Dave's bread, and I actually saw that Walmart and Jewel's carry it too. I don't know if the ones, according to their website, it says they do. Now, I don't know. You know how sometimes they say they have it and you get in and they never heard of it. But you might want to check out, if you want to check out your local Jewel.
Yes, they also have muffins, English muffins, and different types of bread that I like. Let me tell you a little about olive oil. I'm surprised olive oil, no one asked about that yet, but olive oil is really not recommended as a health food. and it's preferred to saute with either water or a vegetable broth. If you're sauteing in your pan with an oil, instead of oil, switch. If you want to lose weight, you will save 120 calories on every tablespoon that you're not using of oil. And it takes 45 olives for 1 tablespoon of olive oil. And you're not getting any fiber or none of the nutrients. But olives, the whole olive, has anyone ever, I have to laugh at the back of these labels. Has anyone ever had 3 olives for a serving? Anybody? 3. That's considered a serving of olives. 3. I usually put about 6 or 7 on my salad. And there's only 15 calories because these are in water. And the sodium is 120, which is pretty high for something for only 3 of them. So I like to rinse them. If you could find olives that are no salt added, that would be great. But these we get at Sam's also, and they're for a good price. What else do I have? Another thing that is interesting to add flavor. We all know what soy sauce is, right? Okay. I'm not sure if everyone on the call would know what coconut aminos or coconut.
Rags is very big out here in California.
Okay, so these are all good products, but you want to look at the label again, and you want to compare. These two have the serving size as a teaspoon, which is realistic because I usually maybe a teaspoon, even a half a teaspoon is enough. They're both, one's 10 calories, the other one's 5, but the sodium, and it's so small, I had to get my magnifying glass out to read this today, so I brought this. So the sodium on one is, now this is for a teaspoon, this one is 140 for a teaspoon, okay? This one is 90. Okay, they both taste the same. This is 90 for a teaspoon. Soy sauce. Anybody have guesses on what this soy sauce is? Gluten-free soy sauce. It's probably in every Chinese restaurant that we go to. Any guesses? It's 1, pardon?
200.
1 tablespoon, 9, now 1 tablespoon is 3 teaspoons. So 960 divide, so we have to divide that by 3. So that's 320. 320 for a teaspoon of this compared to the others. So a lot of the hidden sugars, salt, and oils are in foods that we're not reading recipes. I would definitely recommend this one or this one over the soy sauce, and this one if you want to be a low sodium diet instead of salt. Okay, any questions about that? As to compare, I don't use salt much, but I had this in my cabinet and I wanted to compare it and show everyone. 1/4 of a teaspoon, 1/4, okay? So you would times this by 4 to be equal to those. Teaspoon, 580 times 4. 1 teaspoon of salt. Is that incredible? And the guidelines of the plant-based doctors are recommending to stay at under 1,500. The USDA recommends 2,300, and the average American is eating 5,000 to 6,000. That's high blood pressure. You know, this is why one of the issues that we have in our food. And when you eat at a restaurant, they put salt on everything. And then Worcestershire sauce. There's sodium in this. How do you say it? One teaspoon is only 65 milligrams. So this is a lower sodium, and it adds a lot of flavor to your broths and your vegetables when you're sauteing. So that's a good choice. If anyone, when you decide to go totally plant-based, actually there's 2 supplements that most of the doctors do recommend, and that's vitamin D. D3 is probably the best if you're not taking that, even though it's summer now. We're pretty much almost everyone's deficient if you check your levels. And also B12 is something that most Americans are deficient in, and it's recommended. And this is the brand I like. It comes in a little spray bottle, and I take a spray under my tongue about once a week, once every other week, because you really only need under 5 to 10 milligrams a day, and you can't even get it in that small of an amount. Most of the amounts, I forget what this is. It's let's see, 500. So this is like a month's worth. So I just take a spray whenever I remember it. All right, mushrooms. Mushrooms add a lot of what's called umami flavor in vegan cooking, since we're not using the meat or the chicken to have that richness. The mushrooms give the texture, and if you don't like mushrooms, you can use mushroom powder. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about. This is a shiitake mushroom powder that I bought online, and these are mushrooms, dried mushrooms that you could actually put in a blender and blend them into a powder and sprinkle those on your food. And this is an organic mushroom powder that I just bought, and I've tried it a few times. I bought it at a farmer's market that I was at on vacation in Florida. If you're traveling anywhere, I want to encourage you to check out farmers markets from around the country. And then this one is from Trader Joe's. This one does have salt in it, where the other mushroom seasonings are just mushroom. And different mushrooms have different flavors. And you may like one or the other. You may want to put a little bit of all of them. But this one does have a little salt in it. And when you're buying spice mixes, you always want to look at the sodium. This is a 1/4 teaspoon, and it's 140 milligrams. But it also has onion, mustard seed, mushroom, white button mushroom, a little crushed red pepper, black pepper, and thyme. So it's an all-around seasoning mix that is nice and it's even called umami on it. And it's at Trader Joe's. I'm not sure. I think the Orland Trader Joe's is the closest one to, if anyone is in South Holland. Any questions on that? Oh, nutritional. A few other items that give my food flavor, other than the herbs that I mentioned, the parsley and the cilantro, is nutritional yeast. And I buy mine online. You could buy it in the stores, but I like this brand that says unfortified. And I buy this bag, lasts me I don't know, about 6 months or so. And it has, let's see, it has 70 milligrams of sodium in 2 heaping tablespoons. And this is like a Parmesan cheese flavor for people that want to add a cheesy flavor without eating cheese. And it looks like this. It's like a powder, almost like Parmesan cheese. Sun-dried tomatoes are delicious. All the water is taken out of them. And in this package, it's dried. There's no oil in it. there's actually 4 pounds of fresh California tomatoes in this little bag, and it's 3 ounces. I like sprinkling these on my roasted vegetables or my sauteed vegetables, or even on top of a salad, on rice, on quinoa, to give it a little more flavor. What else do I have here as I'm moving along? Vinegars. I want to talk a little bit about vinegars for a minute. Let's see what time. We're 8:10. Are you guys, are you guys still with me?
Yes.
Okay. Vinegars. Apple cider vinegar, great on a salad. Balsamic vinegar. But you have to be careful and read the labels on vinegars, because many of them, see, this one has raspberry in it. It says dark raspberry. It has sugar added. I bought this before I learned how to read labels, and I haven't opened it. It's been in my pantry. But you always have to look at ingredients. It has natural raspberry flavor, crystallized cane sugar. But the good thing is the aged balsamic vinegar is the first ingredient. So that's a vinegar I would definitely try. And then the apple cider vinegar is great on a salad or in water. Sometimes I find bargains, and this is a slow roasted garlic. This was my favorite. I got this at a place in Michigan. Like I said, if you're traveling and going to, little gourmet shops, look for these items to treat yourself and add some flavor to your diet, as well as the grocery store. Is there any final questions as we're closing out?
I have a question for you, Janet. Yes. I love salads, and so and both those vinegars I have, but I use a little olive oil. Now, what do you do with that vinegar? Or do you
instead of olive oil?
Instead of olive oil.
Sometimes I just sprinkle some. Pardon?
You just do with the vinegar without the olive oil, is like to complement it?
Sometimes I just sprinkle the vinegar in. If it's a good flavor balsamic vinegar, you could just do it by itself. If it's a little more tart, like a wine vinegar, and it's not a balsamic, because the balsamic vinegar is reduced down and it's a sweeter flavor. It's not.
It's just that I'm accustomed to using olive oil or grapeseed oil or
right. You could
sesame seed oil.
Instead, if you didn't want to just put the vinegar by itself, you can mix vinegar with a little bit of mustard in a little dish, a little bit of Dijon mustard and a little bit of maple syrup. Mix that in. You could put vegetable broth in, or you could just mix water instead of oil to dilute it. Sometimes on my salad, I'll put lime juice or salsa or lemon juice, and that's it. You'll get your tongue changes and your taste change, and you'll get more accustomed to the flavor. You could make dressings on the websites that I recommended that you check out. There's plenty of dressing recipes. You could put them in if you have a bullet kind of blender, Ninja, you can, like you're making smoothies. You could put nuts in with it, with the vinegar, nuts or pecans or cashews.
Now that sounds good.
Yeah. And you could put oregano and cumin and garlic. Cumin is the #1 spice around the world.
That's my favorite spice.
Cumin, you could buy it in the seeds, or you could buy it in the powder. A little bit of cumin, you could put that in your dressing if you like it. A little bit of garlic. I do always try to find organic spices, just because I've had a friend who worked in the spice industry, and he said as he traveled around the world that he firsthand saw all the spraying pesticides that are in spices that we get from around the world, and he and his family only buy organic. So whenever possible, I always get the organic spice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sunrise is also a great store to find spices. Are you familiar with that? It's on 100.
Yes, I love Sunrise.
Is that turmeric you're putting out?
This is actually a turmeric twist. It has a savory blend. It's new. I saw it there and it sounded interesting. And let me read the ingredients here. It has turmeric, onion, garlic, paprika. It has sea salt, but sea salt's not the first ingredient. Black pepper, lemon peel, chipotle, rice concentrate, and parsley. And the sodium is only 35 milligrams for a quarter teaspoon. So that's how I read a label. I look to see it's organic. I want to see the ingredients, and then I go up and see the sodium. And that's a winner for me. What else do I have here? Artichokes. Artichokes are really tasty on a salad if you like those, but you really want to get them in a water base and rinse them out because they're soaked in, marinated in sodium. Because here we have a half a cup, which is more than, it says a half a cup would be half of this jar. I usually take maybe 4 of them, put them on my salad. I cut them in quarters. So I'm not sure how you would figure out how much sodium, because a half a cup has 480 milligrams. So I rinse these out and kind of soak them in clear water and then store them in another container. And they add a little flavor to my salad. What else do I have?
Don't give away all your secrets. We want you to share some next week.
Oh, I have more. I have more that I could share next week. I am never ending. I could talk about this for days. Is there any other questions that we didn't answer?
Pitaya and acai. Do you guys have it there?
Pardon?
Pitaya. We have pitaya bowls here. And acai. Pitaya bowl is dragon fruit.
Oh, those are very good. Yeah. Where do you get those?
I'm in California, and I do that as an ice cream substitute.
You're tuning in from California.
I go all over. She's one of my faves.
What part of California?
I'm in San Diego.
La Jolla is
I'm in University City. That's where I live.
I was there for vacation, and I said, I want to live here because I could find vegan, healthy food in La Jolla.
And all the things you talk about, we kind of take for granted. And so I'm listening, and I have it. I'm still on fish and chicken and lamb, but it's like, but I'm doing all the other.
We can't find the things you have in your grocery stores. We have to order on Amazon.
About the blackberries. I mean, the blackberries, the blueberries, raspberries. It's like, sorry.
No,
not trying to rub it in. It's just where we live.
I know.
Now, you did that when we were doing yoga in the snow.
Sorry, I have to share where I am. I'm being quiet. I'm doing the best I can.
Now, are you from this area?
I grew up in Maple Park, and my goddaughter lives in South Holland, and I do yoga there. So when I come to Chicago, I'm in South Holland a lot. So it's like being home and being here.
We hear our South Chicago accents, right?
Yeah, I got Midwestern. I kept it. I've been gone 50 years, but I still got it.
That's good. We don't want you to change.
I wanted to show people, if you're not familiar with quinoa, remember last time I showed you how it looked raw? I made some, and this is how, if I could show you, could you see it? I can't see it.
Yep.
So this is the tricolor. There's white, red, and black, and it's just really fluffy. See how it is? It has, and you could eat this for breakfast. You could eat this for lunch. You can eat
I put some yellow raisins in there. I like to give it a little more flavor.
You could put, yes, I would, if I was eating it for breakfast, I would put banana, an apple, maybe cinnamon, little maple syrup, dates. I would, instead of oatmeal, you could have quinoa, you could have rice. Sometimes I have toast with avocado and tomato on it. But my regular breakfast is a piece of fruit, a cup of coffee with some oat milk. And that kind of keeps me. I used to eat a bigger breakfast, but now I really don't eat that much. And if you're not hungry, they recommend just, eat when you're hungry. Don't force yourself to eat because it is breakfast. But then I also eat a big salad and then an earlier dinner. And then I try not to eat anything until or after 7 o'clock, and no snacks or anything except water.
And what about the Crispies on a salad? I had heard that lettuce was empty calories, and that kind of disappointed me. But I also put like the noodles and things, the crunchies on top, and it didn't talk about the white crunchies. I have crunchies on top too. I need nuts or something to crunch it up as well.
Yeah, nuts, pumpkin seeds, nuts, any type of almond. I like pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds are a high protein item. So I sprinkle those on. So you could put 9 to 12 different things in a salad. Mostly you put a bed of greens, put all your vegetables, put a few condiments, depending on your diet, if you want to stay low sodium or high protein. And your
spinach, raw spinach.
Oh yeah, you could do raw spinach. There's actually spinach in that mix that I buy, or it comes just spinach by itself. And then you could